Hey everybody, just wanted to go quick over our program again. I've had a lot of questions, a lot of emails, a lot of you stopped me on Wednesday, and so I just wanted to go over things one more time just to make sure. And we're going to start with, we're just going to do October, and we're going to do what a lot of your kids did on Wednesday with their catechists so that you kind of get a little bit more of an understanding. Let me get your book. Okay, here's our parent guide. Like I said, on Wednesday, you have all of the essays, everything that I taught you on Wednesday night. Those essays are in the back of the book under essay appendix, and they are on page 240, and then 243. So I taught you everything that you need to know between those two lessons. So lessons 1 and 2 for October. Lesson 1 is I Believe, and lesson 2 is In God the Father Almighty. The overarching theme for this year is Creed. So it's going to go based on the creed that we say every single Sunday. So I Believe and In God the Father Almighty. Those are the two essays that you can read before you go ahead and teach. So in October, we open it up, and the first month looks like this. The first 2 pages. This is October. So it has In Your Catholic Home. When I was talking about your fridge page, that's what this is. And it has one little easy snippet of information that you are supposed to incorporate with your family throughout the entire month. So this month, they are encouraging you all to practice the sign of the cross. So it explains why we do the sign of the cross, and then it tells you how to practice it. So you put that on your fridge or on your bulletin board or wherever everyone can see it in your home. The next side has everything to do with the month. So this month, the saint of the month is St. Francis of Assisi. His feast day is today. And at the end, we'll get there, but at the end of the chapter, it does have information on St. Francis. So if you're looking for something to do tonight, talk about St. Francis. He does a lot more than have animals and things like that, but he's a really pivotal member of our church and founded one of the religious orders that still is in existence today. But it says, in celebrating St. Francis of Assisi, things to do, go on a nature hike, bring your pets to Mass, has a verse of the month that everyone should be able to know and memorize. This month it's from Hebrews. And then it has a remember talking about the sign of the cross. So it correlates with this page. And then it has, like I said, we're doing the creed, so it has on the bottom, they have to, the kids should be able to memorize this part of the Apostles' Creed, the very, very first sentence. So that it has a little bit of that. You can also hang that on your fridge as well if you wanted to, or you can pick on the other side, it has this beautiful image of St. Francis. So you can dedicate your month to St. Francis if you want. The car tag, that is right here. This is easily, there's nothing on the back. Nothing on the back, see? So you cut this out and you hang it on your mirror, and these are things that you can talk about on your car ride to school, from school, to practice, on your way to Mass, whatever. That's for the entire month. That's your car conversations for the entire month. Then it goes into lesson 1. So lesson 1, I Believe. So you've already read the essay. You've sat in the meeting. We've taught this. You've reread it. Now you're ready to teach it. So your kids did an activity from I Believe. So the littler ones did the first activity. They did activity 1. What does it mean to believe? And they did a trust walk and discussion. All of their catechists did do a little bit different, so that's another thing that you can talk to them about. Hey, what did you do in class on Wednesday? What did your teacher do? What did you talk about? So they did that one because it was a little bit easier. And then 3rd grade through 7th grade did activity 3. We skipped activity 2, and we did, little kids did activity 1, big kids did activity 3. And they went through and learned, their catechist taught them how to find verses in the Bible. So that was one of the things that they did. And then they were supposed to copy those verses and talk about them. So again, it's another thing that you can talk to your kids about. So with that, little kids did activity 1, big kids did activity 3. So depending on the age of your kids, you could do activity 1. Activity 3 is not recommended for anyone younger than age 8. So that's why we had the big kids do that one. So I wouldn't recommend that one for the little kids, but all big kids could do activity 1. Everyone can do activity 2. Everyone can do activities 3 and 4. We are suggesting to continue on lesson 1 doing at least one other exercise. Just one is what we're requiring you to do. If you want to do all of them, you can, but it gets a little overwhelming, so I don't want you to feel like you have to do every single activity in lesson 1. I think it's very simple and easy enough to do maybe 2 more. So you're 1 required and then an extra one. And you can pick up whichever ones. Some of them are just discussion, so you can do it at dinner time, you could do it at breakfast time, whatever time you as a family can sit down together. With that, we're going to go to activity 3, which is what the kids did in class. So activity 3 is on page 21. You'll see faith is necessary for salvation. And it has here age requirements, length of time, and if there's other supplemental materials that you need. So for activity 3, they needed the Bible, and faith and belief, which is page 12 in the activity book. So you're going off of this, it tells you everything that you need to know for the activity, and then it has you go into the activity book. This is what your kids get. This is what the younger kids bring with them to class. I have copies of it to go for the older catechists so that everybody has them if we need to do anything out of this book. So you'll go to page 12, Faith and Belief, and it has everything that they need to do. But the explanation of it is in the parent guide. You're the one who's teaching them how to do this activity. This is just the material for them to do it. Okay. So, for lesson 1 then, again, they've already done 1 activity. We're requiring you to do 1 more, so that's a minimum of 2. If you wanted to do others for lesson 1, if you feel like your kids need maybe 1 more lesson to understand what this means, that's okay. Do another one. You don't have to. Then you're going to move on. When you feel that your kids are ready, you'll move on to lesson 2. Lesson 2. And it has all of the activities in there. There is an activity you absolutely positively have to do in lesson 2. It's the storybook activity. It's titled Your Family Genesis Story. It's all the way on page 38. I would definitely recommend you doing this at a time when you all have time to sit down. But your Family Genesis Story, that goes in the storybook. That's what's being assessed every single month. Did you do the storybook? because we are going to have you bring them every single month. And at the end of the year, we're going to have them all out so that everyone can see how everyone else's storybooks look. We're going to celebrate your accomplishments in doing this whole thing. So you have to do the Family Genesis story. That's the absolute definite one you have to do. Then there are a number of other activities. There are 4 other activities that you can choose from. For this one, I would probably recommend you do 2 other activities. So doing a total of 3 activities for lesson 2. So you'll do a minimum of 5, maximum of 5 activities. At the end is St. Francis of Assisi. This is the saint of the month. So it has an essay in there. There's an activity that goes with it. There's a coloring page for kids to do. Tells you all about St. Francis. And then there's another little bonus activity that you can possibly do with the kids. That's at the end. So, like I said, if that's something that you want to do this weekend, because even though his feast day is today, we can celebrate it all weekend long. We can celebrate it all month long because he's our saint of the month. You decide. But St. Francis is really fascinating. So it's another way to get other Catholic understandings and ideas into your family discussion. So at the end of the month, it has October in Review. October in Review. So it basically lays out what your kids learned and what they should be able to know. They should be able to explain these things. They can, you can then think about it and reflect on it so that you, just like Katie and I, continue to readjust to make things better every single month. Because this is new, it allows you some space to reflect and decide, okay, maybe talking about the car conversations in the morning isn't a great time to do this. Maybe it is later, coming home from soccer practice or whatever. So there's a space for you to reflect so that you can decide on what to do better next month, or change it up, or what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. The other thing, each month, they should be able to, there's a words to know. At the very beginning, there's words to know. There's a number of these here. It is necessary that they know what these are, that they are able to explain them. They don't need to explain them super, super long, or some very long, in-depth definition of them, but they should be able to know what it means to believe, what it means to obey, what the theological virtues are. Those are all really important things. So the other thing I talked about on Wednesday was the catechism. I'll put a link up to the USCCB's website so that you can find the catechism, and actually there you can, I'm pretty sure, can just put in paragraph numbers. But like I said on Wednesday, the numbers that are there, it's not page numbers, they're paragraph numbers. I think that's it. Again, if you have any other questions, it's really self-explanatory. What I encourage you to do is, if you haven't looked through it since Wednesday, I would take some time and look at it. Put the kids to bed, and really sit with it, and just look. It does spell it out for you. It's very simple. Like I said, you don't need a master's degree to teach this. This is about everyone growing together in their faith. And your kids are learning from example. So don't worry about doing it perfectly. Don't worry about if you get something maybe a little wrong. It's okay, because we're all just learning. We're all walking through this journey together. So if you really are worried about certain theological understandings of things, email me and let me know. And I can try and make it as simplified as possible so that you can then turn around and tell your kids. But you know, as I was learning how to be an educator, the most powerful thing that I was told to tell my students was, if they asked me a question that I didn't know, was, I don't know, let me find out for you. So that's okay. If you don't know, you can look it up, you can research it, you can email me. There's lots of different things. We're all in this together. So I wanted to do this again so that you feel a little bit more comfortable, feel a little bit more confident. And hopefully you all come in November and you had a great month and you were super excited and your kids can't wait to do the family activity for November and get back into their classroom and more importantly learn from you. So I just wanted to do this really quick. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and I will see you again on November 6th. Have a great weekend. Bye, guys.